Broncos training camp has arrived. Sean Payton spoke to the media today, and we learned a lot about the quarterback battle, what the plan is at that position. Plus, we got some insight on Courtland Sutton, Pat Surtain, Quinn Meinerz. So we got a lot of really good, juicy quotes and tidbits and pieces of information to open up training camp. Now, before we share all of what we learned today, I do want to give you guys a bit of a heads up. After watching Sean Payton's press conference, he had a different demeanor, attitude to him than he did back in the spring during minicamp and OTAs. He was pretty relaxed and cheerful in the spring. He was old-fashioned Sean Payton speaking to the media today. So when you look at some of the quotes, just have that in the back of your head as to the type of tone he had and just the overall resentment, maybe is a word to use to describe his approach to speaking to the media today. He was not thrilled. Let's just put it that way. At least it came across that way. So our first news and rumor storyline that we learned about today was the plan at quarterback to open up training camp. So I know Woody Page wanted to talk about, or Woody Page did a long article about Bo Nix opening up the training camp as the number one starter. Sean Payton had this to say on the quarterbacks. We'll mix it up again. Obviously, it won't stay that way for the long term. And then he followed it up with, we're looking to find the guy to beat Seattle, and we're looking to find that guy. So no clear indication as to who that starter will be, or more importantly, no clear indication that Bo Nix will be the clear-cut starter to open up training camp, which I agree with that approach. I don't think Bo Nix should just be handed QB1. If it takes him a week to earn the job, okay, no problem. You don't have to have this quarterback training camp battle go on for all of July and August. But there should be some battle. I don't think all the guys should come back from a 6-week summer break and just be told, we're not going to have a battle anymore. It's Bo Nix. We've seen it all we can see. That's not true. They were playing flag football in the spring. There's no pads on. I think the whole team should see Bo Nix go out there and prove he's the best quarterback on this roster. So I like the approach that Sean Payton is taking, that they're not just going to anoint Bo Nix as the starter just because he was the first-round pick. I expect Bo Nix to get there sooner rather than later, but not to be a broken record, he should earn it. So I'm excited to see what Bo Nix can bring this summer with a lot of experience under his belt at his time at Auburn and Oregon. You can check out the stats he put up his final season in Eugene. Now, Jarrett Stidham definitely comes in with some advantages. He's got a lot more experience, not just in the NFL, but also specifically running Sean Payton's offense, something he did for the last 2 games of the season and has 4 career starts under his belt. Meanwhile, Zach Wilson, who's kind of become the redheaded stepchild of this quarterback battle, has the most NFL experience of all 3 guys. He's got over 30 starts under his belt. But Zach Wilson also is, I would say, the worst quarterback of the 3 guys. Now, the pinned comment on today's video, who will be the week 1 starter? Shoot your shot right now. Don't be afraid. I'm going to type in 10 for Bo Nix. And tomorrow I'll probably type 8 for Jarrett Stidham because I just think Sean Payton's comments about we want the guy that can help beat Seattle is code for that guy could be Jarrett Stidham. But we're not going to toss Bo Nix out there just because we took him in round 1. Now, if they feel like Bo Nix can help them beat Seattle more than Jarrett Stidham, then it'll be Nix. But I don't think we're going to see the Broncos peer pressure Sean Payton into, you better start Nix, even if you don't think he is your best quarterback that given Sunday. Second storyline to get to today, Courtland Sutton on the latest regarding him and his contract and a potential holdout. So Sean Payton was asked about Courtland Sutton. He said, he'll be here and ready to go. He was pretty blunt and to the point about it. He said there's nothing to talk about. Training camp's here. He really wasn't interested in being all super cute and rosy and saying, oh, we love Courtland and we're going to work through the contract and we're going to make sure he's taken care of. No. He said he'll be here and we're ready to play some football. He did not want to hang around this question for very long. To me, this was an expected outcome. I did not expect Courtland Sutton to hold out of training camp. He showed up to mandatory minicamp, so if there was a time to do a holdout, it would have been then, because if you hold out a mandatory minicamp, I believe the fines you incur because of that holdout can be picked up later by the team. However, if you hold out of training camp, it's $50,000 a day, and there is no getting out of those fines. Now, the only workaround for a team would be if the player shows up but doesn't participate, so a hold in. But I don't think Courtland Sutton was interested in picking up $50K every single day he missed. So I'm excited to have him back, especially with a rookie quarterback. Want to get that connection going as soon as possible. I already feel like they might be a little bit behind just because of the spring practices that Sutton missed. But ultimately, I hope that throwing sessions in April do not make or break a rookie quarterback season. But very excited that Courtland Sutton will be in attendance and excited to see that connection with Bo Nix start to grow very soon. Now, before we look at the other news and rumor storylines from day one of training camp, make sure you check out our wonderful sponsor today, Game Time. If you love summer baseball and want to catch a Rockies game or any other major league team, you're going to want to give Game Time a shot. Game Time is an authorized ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball, which makes getting tickets faster and easier. Prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets to the first pitch. One thing I really like about Game Time are their flash deals. Save even more with exclusive in-app deals on select seats ahead of the game or event. Plus, they offer the Game Time guarantee. If you find tickets in the same section and row for less, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Take the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CHAT Sports for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Sean Payton also talked about Quinn Meinerz and his contract extension that he received. He didn't really care to even make much banter about what Quinn Meinerz wore when he signed his extension, which I wish I got the picture, but he had like a gold suit on. It was some Austin Powers shit. But Quinn Meinerz was brought up, and just the overall offensive line in general. Eric Delilah, the team reporter, he tweeted out, Broncos head coach Sean Payton on the value of the offensive line. Quote, I think it's the most important position group on your roster. I think it permeates your building. And the Broncos have took those words and responded with actual actions. Like, look at the Broncos offensive line last year and their Pro Football Focus ranks. And then look at what the Broncos did in terms of investing in their offensive line. Like, when Sean Payton joined, one of the first big signings they made was Mike McGlinchey at right tackle. Fast forward 14 months later, they make Quinn Meinerz a top 5 highest paid guard in football. Now, the center position is still a bit of a question mark, but outside of that, they've got 4 really reliable and I'll say Pro Bowl caliber guys at Garrett Bowles, Ben Powers, Quinn Meinerz, and Mike McGlinchey. I also just want to add that Quinn Meinerz is the man. Like, he spoke to the media today, and he had some really just awesome Quinn Meinerz type stories. I don't know how else to describe it. I want to share some of them with you. He talked about how when he was training for the NFL draft after having his senior year at Wisconsin Whitewater wiped away due to COVID, the guy would have his dad drop off 70 pounds of ground beef, and all he ate was ground beef and rice. Also, he talked about how happy he was to sign the extension, probably for the $80 million, but also because he wants to be a Bronco long term. And I don't know about you guys, but every few years you get a couple of players on Denver, or just all across all 32 teams, that really embody the city, the fan base, and want to be here long term. And they're very outspoken about that. And those are always the players that I personally gravitate towards the most when we all inevitably kind of have our favorite players. So, with that being said, I'm excited for more of the belly. You can look at Quinn Meinerz' PFF grades last year. He ranked 3rd out of 79 qualifying guards. I mean, talk about great value. Quinn Meinerz, 4th, 5th highest paid guard in football last year, ranked 3rd. Like, it's not easy to get the highest paid player and have him actually be the number 1 player. Usually players always want to reset the market, even if they're not appropriately paid for where they're actually ranked. It's all about just all tides raise all boats for players. But for Meinerz, I think it's a very good contract for both sides. Now, before we check out the remaining storylines Who is your all-time favorite Broncos player? If you want to put John Elway or Peyton Manning, I'm not going to fault you for that. But I'd love to see someone dive a little bit deeper. Just not the number one player like Von Miller, of course, but like, can I get a Demaryius Thomas? Like, that would be my selection. Let me know in the comment section below who your all-time favorite player is. Fourth news and rumors, Pat Surtain contract extension. Remember at the beginning of the video when I talked about Sean Payton having a little bit of bite to him today? Well, it really came out in more of a bark form when talking about Pat Surtain and a potential contract extension. So James Palmer tweeted out, Sean Payton was asked about getting a new deal done with Patrick Surtain, considered by many as the best corner in football. Payton said, "We'll keep you posted." Then paused and added, "That's one of those answers like, we'll get to it when we want to." That is the most like high school teenage boy answer I've ever seen. Like, when are you going to do your homework? When I get to it, Mom. Like, it didn't look like Sean Payton was really super jazzed up or enthusiastic to be there talking to the media today. It looked like every second he was spending answering questions, he felt like he could be spending watching film or on the practice field, and much better time served. Now, it is important to note that there was some other NFL news that came out today, which was Ian Rappaport tweeting out that Jaguars cornerback Tyson Campbell is signing a 4-year, $76.5 million contract extension. Tyson Campbell is not really a household name, even for like your above average NFL fan. So the fact that he got that contract, can you imagine what Pat Surtain's going to get? Tyson Campbell, by the way, as Ian Rappaport points out, it's the highest paid cornerback in NFL history that is yet to be named to a Pro Bowl. Like, Average Joe's. Like, Vince Vaughn from Average Joe's has got $76.5 million. The Pirate from Average Joe's just got $76.5 million. Mike Kliss also added this on during the press conference today with the media. This is really where Sean Payton's bark came out more. So Cecil Lammey asked Sean Payton about the tight end situation and how Lucas Kroll has kind of been the best tight end so far in the spring, and if he could maybe rise the depth chart a little bit. And Sean Payton corrected Cecil Lammey, who I think does a great job of covering the team, who suggested tight end Lucas Kroll was the best player this offseason, saying, quote, "No, he wasn't." And then later on, before moving on to the next question, he said, "Quinn Meinerz and Patrick Surtain were our best players this offseason." So Sean Payton recognizes how great Pat Surtain is. There's no denying that. And when you look at the top 10 highest paid cornerbacks in football now, I mean, you can start to piece together where you can slot in Pat Surtain, and spoiler, it's going to be number one. It's going to be above Jair Alexander, and I think it's going to be above Jair Alexander by a good bit. My personal projection, and this is a little bit on the higher end, but I feel like if Denver does not get it done before the season starts and Pat Surtain puts together a really another strong campaign, we're looking at 5 years, $115 million. That's an average of $23 million a season, guaranteed $90 million. All of these would be record-breaking numbers for the cornerback position. It wouldn't just make PS2 the highest paid cornerback in football. It would do it, and you'd have some space, which we just saw Justin Jefferson do for the non-QB market and all wide receivers. And I think Pat Surtain is going to encroach in that territory. And he should be encroaching in that territory. Like, I'm not going to try and sell you guys on how awesome Pat Surtain is. Open up your eyes and watch for yourself. No one throws his way. I mean, he's got 7 career interceptions, and he is like on a Revis Island type corner. Like, Sean Payton pointed to ball production this year for Pat Surtain. Sure, the interceptions have dipped since his first year, but so have the targets. So can you really blame him? I'm excited for Pat Surtain this year. I think he's the best cornerback in football, and I think it's going to show yet again. Finally, we got some injury updates from Payton going into training camp. So a couple of usual suspects on the injury list were brought up. When it comes to Greg Dulcich, he is expected to practice, so that's really encouraging to see. He was not on the PUP list to open up training camp. For Caden Stearns, Sean Payton said, "We'll see," when talking about getting off that PUP list. Hopefully that happens sooner rather than later. Remember, he suffered a torn patella tendon just 2 snaps in to last season. So nearly a full year removed. Hopefully we'll get him back sometime in training camp, because I think without Justin Simmons, the more the merrier at the safety position. And then finally, running back Audric Estime, that's the rookie out of Notre Dame who underwent arthroscopic knee surgery during the spring. He will practice this week, so that's really encouraging for his recovery. To wrap up the show, we got some summer hot takes. It's a high of 88, 89 degrees today in Denver. So we got a golf tan lines hot take. So kind of right in the middle. And I actually already hate myself for writing this one. I kind of want to throw up at what I wrote, but I'm just going to say it. Working out in the morning is better than working out in the evening. And I do not look like someone who works out anytime the sun is up or down, but I have tried to get in better shape and lose some weight. So for the last 2 weeks, we're talking like 6:30, 6:45 alarm going off, working out in the apartment gym for 45 minutes a morning. I don't know how people work out after work. I'm already kind of a lazy individual when it comes to like going to the gym. And after the day of work's up, like the last thing I want to do is like spend 45 minutes in the gym. So go working out in the morning, get those good endorphins going. I can't believe I said that. I sound like such a like CrossFit puppet. All right, that will do it for us on today's show. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Enjoy the rest of your day. We'll catch up later.